October 19, 2025. A quiet Sunday morning in Paris. The sky above the Seine was pale and still, and the streets around the Louvre were just beginning to stir with life. Tourists queued beneath the iconic glass pyramid, cameras ready, unaware that history was about to repeat itself in the most shocking way imaginable. At 9:32 a.m., the alarms inside the world's most famous museum began to scream. Within minutes, chaos rippled through the marble halls that once echoed with centuries of art, empire, and revolution. A vault had been breached. Priceless jewels, treasures of the French monarchy, were gone. In less than half an hour, one of the most secure museums on Earth had been robbed in broad daylight. The event stunned the world. It wasn't just a theft, it was a message. A reminder that even the guardians of human culture can fall victim to human greed. Over the days that followed, investigators from France's elite crime units and Interpol uncovered a story far deeper than anyone expected. A story of cyber infiltration, insider betrayal, and international crime networks stretching across Europe. In this video, you'll uncover the full story of the 2025 Louvre robbery. How it happened, what the aftermath revealed, and the hidden truth behind one of the boldest cultural crimes of the century. The Louvre is more than a museum, it is a fortress of civilization. For over 2 centuries, it has safeguarded the legacy of kings, empires, and revolutions. It is home to over 35,000 works of art, from the Mona Lisa to the Venus de Milo, and countless others that have defined human culture. To protect those treasures, the museum maintains one of the most advanced security systems in the world: reinforced vaults, biometric locks, motion sensors, and more than 300 surveillance cameras, monitored around the clock by guards and the Paris police. But on that Sunday morning in October 2025, all those layers of protection failed. And they failed in a way that suggested something terrifying. The thieves knew exactly what they were doing. At 8:47 a.m., 3 men dressed in maintenance uniforms entered the Louvre through the North Service Gate, a restricted access point used by contractors and staff. They carried official-looking ID cards and a signed work order claiming they were part of a scheduled repair for the museum's electrical network. Security checked their documents, scanned their badges, and allowed them in. Everything seemed legitimate. Later, investigators would discover that those work orders had been forged, perfectly replicated versions of the museum's own digital templates, complete with the signatures of senior staff. The men were imposters. From that moment, the clock began to tick. The Louvre's opening hours were approaching, and most of the staff were focused on preparing for the day's visitors. In the Richelieu wing, a part of the museum closed to the public that morning, the men moved with deliberate calm. They headed straight for the lower level where the vault of the crown jewels was located. Inside that vault were objects of almost mythical significance. The Regent diamond, a 140-carat stone once set in Napoleon Bonaparte's sword. The scepter of Charles X, adorned with nearly 1,000 rare diamonds. The reliquary cross of St. Louis, dating to the 13th century. And several Renaissance medallions once belonging to the French royal court. The total estimated value, 120 million euros. But the cultural value, beyond measure. At 9:11 a.m., the Louvre's internal systems registered a minor power fluctuation in the Richelieu wing. At first, it was dismissed as a routine maintenance blip. In reality, it was a targeted electromagnetic interference pulse, a compact, custom-built device designed to disable local surveillance feeds for approximately 15 minutes. In that brief window, the thieves struck. They reached the vault door, a reinforced titanium structure requiring both a biometric scan and an encrypted keycard. But instead of attempting to break it, they used an internal override command, triggered from a remote terminal within the Louvre's IT department. That override was available only to authorized engineers. Someone inside the museum had given them access. At 9:23 a.m., the door opened. Security footage recovered later shows the three men entering the vault, carrying compact laser cutters and specialized containment cases. They worked quickly and precisely, cutting through reinforced glass casings without damaging the artifacts inside. Every movement appeared practiced, like a drill that had been rehearsed many times before. By 9:28 a.m., the men exited the vault carrying two sealed black cases. They retraced their steps through the same maintenance corridor, passing unnoticed by staff preparing for public opening. At 9:31 a.m., they disappeared into a service elevator that led to the underground access tunnels originally constructed during the 1980s for electrical and water maintenance. The day after the robbery, Paris woke to disbelief. Newspapers carried the same front page across the country, a photograph of the Louvre pyramid with the headline, "France robbed of its crown." The sense of loss was profound. The Louvre was not just a museum, it was a national symbol, a custodian of France's very identity. For something so sacred to be violated struck at the heart of national pride. The investigation begins. Within hours of the theft, the French Interior Ministry launched Operation Minerve, a joint task force combining the Brigade de Repression du Banditisme, the Central Office for the Fight Against Trafficking in Cultural Goods, and Interpol's Works of Art Unit. Every possible resource was deployed: forensic teams, cybercrime analysts, and border surveillance units. The scale of the investigation rivaled any criminal pursuit in modern French history. By October 21st, Interpol had added the stolen jewels to its Stolen Works of Art database, issuing a global alert. In a press briefing that same day, Interpol Secretary General Jürgen Stock declared, "This was a high-level operation executed with insider knowledge and technical sophistication. It demonstrates that even the most secure institutions are vulnerable to hybrid crimes, where digital infiltration meets physical precision." Behind closed doors, investigators faced a maze of contradictions. There was no sign of forced entry, no weapons, and almost no trace evidence. The maintenance records and digital logs looked authentic. It was as though the museum itself had opened the doors for the thieves. The prime suspect, Marc Delatour, the Louvre's missing IT engineer, quickly became the focus. His access credentials had been used to upload the false maintenance order that allowed the imposters inside. But when police searched his apartment, they found no signs of struggle or flight, only an empty home, a wiped computer, and a single burned-out hard drive. Phone records showed that Delatour's mobile last connected to a cell tower near Calais, hours after the robbery. From there, investigators believed he might have crossed into Belgium, possibly en route to the Netherlands or Germany. Interpol agents traced his financial transactions and discovered a transfer of €480,000 to a cryptocurrency wallet 2 weeks before the robbery. That wallet, according to Europol analysts, was linked to a Belgrade-based organized crime network known for trafficking stolen art, weapons, and antiquities. The Belgrade Connection. This syndicate had been under surveillance since 2023, following a string of museum burglaries in Vienna, Warsaw, and Prague. Their hallmark was sophistication, crimes committed without violence, executed with military precision, and always leaving investigators one step behind. Interpol's working theory was that Delatour had been recruited months, possibly years, earlier. His position in the Louvre's IT department gave him silent power, access to digital infrastructure, schedules, and biometric systems. He didn't need to break into the museum. He simply needed to prepare the system for others to do it. Forensic analysis later confirmed that the Louvre's internal security software had been compromised by a supply chain cyber attack. A malicious update delivered through an external vendor had planted hidden backdoors in the system, quietly collecting staff data, camera blind spots, and electronic blueprints. It was, as one investigator described it, a digital ghost inside the Louvre. By late October, the French police issued 3 international arrest warrants. 1. Marc Delatour, for conspiracy and cyber-assisted theft. 2. Ivana Petrov, a Serbian contractor linked to a 2023 Vienna museum breach. 3. An unidentified figure referred to only as the architect, believed to have coordinated the operation remotely. The global hunt. Interpol's search expanded across Europe. Dozens of raids took place in Belgium, Serbia, and the Netherlands. In Antwerp, an antique jeweler reported being approached by a middleman offering a large diamond with an unusual clarity and cut, remarkably similar to the description of the Regent diamond. The transaction was traced to a warehouse district in the port city. When Belgian police raided the location, they found 3 individuals dismantling jewelry and resetting stones into modern designs, ready for resale. Among the recovered items were 2 Renaissance gold medallions and part of a reliquary cross, later confirmed by the Louvre to be authentic. The arrests provided the first tangible breakthrough. Under questioning, one of the suspects confessed that the jewels had been transported in pieces, disassembled and disguised to evade customs, through Rotterdam, then shipped toward Dubai, a known hub for illicit gem trading. Interpol issued a global customs alert, working with the United Arab Emirates, Hong Kong, and Singapore to monitor high-value shipments. But no sign of the Regent Diamond or the Royal Scepter ever surfaced. France in shock. Back in Paris, the Louvre reopened under tight security 2 weeks after the robbery. Crowds returned, but the atmosphere was different. Visitors entered quietly, walking past police checkpoints and scanners. The space that once displayed the crown jewels was now empty, cordoned off with a small plaque that read, "Temporarily unavailable." The French public demanded answers. Protests erupted outside the Ministry of Culture, accusing the government of negligence. Opposition leaders called it a failure of state responsibility. In response, the government announced a national audit of all museum security systems, including cyber infrastructure, a move that revealed just how vulnerable many institutions had become in the age of digital crime. Experts estimated that more than 60% of European museums were using outdated security software. The Louvre, once considered impenetrable, had been undone not by force, but by data. The hunt for the architect. As weeks turned to months, the focus shifted toward the elusive mastermind known only as the architect. Emails uncovered from one of the Belgrade suspects referred to coded instructions from a source using that alias, always encrypted, always routed through anonymous servers. French intelligence believed the architect wasn't a single person, but a network, a group of specialists combining expertise in cybercrime, logistics, and art valuation. Their motive was profit, but also prestige, pulling off the impossible. By December 2025, the trail began to cool. Interpol recovered small fragments of the stolen items, but not the central jewels. The Regent Diamond, the scepter, and the royal ornaments remained missing. Some experts speculated that the artifacts had already been broken down and recut, their identities erased forever. Others believed they were still hidden, waiting for the world to forget. Meanwhile, rumors spread that Delatour had been seen in Montenegro under a false identity, but no conclusive proof ever emerged. The case went cold. The legacy of the heist. The impact of the 2025 Louvre robbery was far-reaching. It reshaped how nations viewed the protection of art and heritage. In 2026, the European Union approved a new cultural security directive, mandating digital risk audits for all national museums. The Louvre itself invested €40 million into new cybersecurity infrastructure, biometric encryption, and AI-based surveillance. But even with those upgrades, the damage was done, not just to the museum, but to public confidence. As one French historian wrote, "The theft of art is the theft of memory." What we lose in such moments is not wealth, but our link to the past. In interviews years later, several investigators reflected on how close the operation came to being undetectable. Had the thieves delayed the alarms just 5 more minutes, it might have taken days, not hours, for anyone to even realize what had happened. For the Louvre, the robbery was a humiliation that echoed the theft of the Mona Lisa in 1911, but with a distinctly modern edge. Then, it had been a lone patriot trying to return a painting to Italy. Now, it was technology and profit, an age-old human desire for possession amplified by the tools of the digital era. The human cost. Among the museum staff, the emotional toll was immense. Curators described the empty vaults as a wound. Many had dedicated their lives to preserving those artifacts. For them, it wasn't just history that was stolen, it was trust. The Louvre's director, in a statement to France 24, said, "We lost not only objects of beauty, but a piece of ourselves. Yet we will not be defined by what was taken, only by how we protect what remains." the investigation officially remains open. Interpol continues to track leads through global auction houses, private collectors, and underground networks. From time to time, rumors resurface, a diamond appearing in Hong Kong, or whispers of a trade in Eastern Europe, but none have been confirmed. As of today, the 2025 Louvre robbery stands as one of the most sophisticated art crimes in modern history, a heist that blurred the line between cyber warfare and old-fashioned theft. It reminded the world that in an era of digital connection, even the treasures of civilization are never truly safe.